800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
A big concern for Texas cattle ranchers, as Rich Thomason reports. 2 more Texas screwworm infections have been discovered in animals living far apart.
It demonstrates the difficulty of stopping the spread of a pest that potentially could devastate the nation's cattle industry. The Department of Agriculture says the new cases were found in a calf and a dog hundreds of miles apart. The screwworm is actually a fly. It produces larvae that eats live flesh instead of dead material. Before it was eradicated in the 1960s, the fly was an annual warm weather scourge of cattle ranchers. Rich Thomason reporting.
And company executives and retail analysts say many shoppers are reassessing what they buy and where nowadays. New trends include drivers flocking to the fuel pumps at warehouse stores like Costco and Sam's Club. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Not cooling down much this evening. We'll have a low dropping to 73. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day long. 30% chance for afternoon and early evening showers. The high is 87. We warm up to the low 90s on Wednesday, the mid 90s by Thursday and Friday, with that same 20 to 30% chance for rain each afternoon. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network on this Manic Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. So happy to have you with us again tonight here on Sports Talk, wherever you're dialing us in via one of our great radio stations around the state. We come to you from The Point Radio in downtown Columbia, and we're happy to be here. And, of course, you can also get us streaming on our YouTube channel, also on Facebook and on X if you can't get us over the airwaves at any particular time. All right, let's welcome in Chris Bergen from the Bergie Palace. And, of course, the plumber is here, Josh Cohen, handling things here at the studios. Phone number 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number by which you can reach us. And our text line number is 803-900-4847. Be taking your phone calls and your text messages. In fact, just throw it out there. As you know, this is another Monday. The field for the College World Series is set. South Carolina still doesn't have a head baseball coach. And who do you want? If you could sit down with Jeremiah Donati and write him a check and say, this is the guy that I want, who would you want it to be? Your thoughts on that, 888-898-2525. If you have any thoughts on who the next baseball coach at South Carolina should be. This is a should be. Use your knowledge, use your insight. Who should it be? Who is the best possible hire that is hireable? Somebody that he can go and get, Chris Bergen.
It's a great question. I mean, it really is. And I just do not understand why this process has taken this long. Jeremiah Donati had 2 months of the regular season to go through. Then he kicked Monty Lee to the curb, so we realized it wasn't Monty. So obviously the next logical choice was Kevin Snall. Coastal's been out of the season since last Sunday. Had a full week last week. Why it didn't happen last week starts to lend you to believe that, all right, maybe Kevin Snall is not the guy. But the problem is you're not only really tinkering with your own program, Phil, you're also messing with another program now. If you're dangling Kevin Snall as sort of a backup plan, which I think is a horrible decision if that's the case, why are you messing with Coastal's program? Because they just lost another player, Luke Jones, one of their outstanding pitchers. They lost him to the transfer portal today because they're not sure who their head coach is going to be. I mean, this is turning into an absolute mess, and it should not be this difficult. It really should not be this difficult, in my opinion.
Yeah. Where we sit, it seems like it would be a no-brainer to go ahead and get it done. I can see from Donati's seat where he's making what he hopes is a long-term hire. Because think about this. From 1971 through 2012, you never gave a thought to the South Carolina head baseball coaching job because
That's a good point.
It was Bobby Richardson, and then it was June Raines, and then it was Ray Tanner. I mean, they were blessed with longevity, just like Clemson. When Clemson hired Bill Wilhelm, didn't have to worry about it. Of course, many of those years people didn't think much about college baseball. Boy, has that changed. There's a red-hot sport, and what a great weekend. What a showcase this past weekend was for college baseball. It got me to thinking, too, Berkey, and I know you'll love this idea. It was so much fun watching these regionals and super regionals. Why was it so much fun? Because you had teams playing in front of their home crowds. The passion was incredible. So think about the NCAA basketball tournament. Now, the women do play 2 home games. The top seeds do play 2 home games in their tournament, but the men do not. It's all neutral courts. Imagine if you took the first 2 games of the tournament and you played them at home sites, what kind of crowds they would draw, the kind of passion you would have. Because when you're playing at these neutral sites, obviously the crowd is split. You don't have your 16,000 all rooting for you. I know that'll never happen. And again, why mess with the NCAA basketball tournament? Well, they're messing with it.
No, they already are.
Yeah, but why mess with it?
Mess with it, let's mess with it.
Yeah, why mess with it to this degree? But I'm just saying how much fun that would be and the excitement that would be generated and the crowd enthusiasm and passion you would have if you're hosting. Just like now for football, you got home football games in the playoffs, and that's been a big selling point for that. But anyway, I digress. South Carolina had a great run of 3 coaches for all those years, 71-12. You realize this hire will be the 5th head coach since Ray Tanner stepped down, if you include Monty. You had,
That's
of course,
incredible.
Chad Holbrook. Then you had Mark Kingston. And then you had Paul Maneri. You had Monty. And this will be the 5th head coach. And the big mistake, not that we want to dig up graves here, but the big mistake was firing Chad Holbrook. I mean, his record was not so disgusting, so despicable, so bad that he should have been fired. In today's world, teams with much poorer records are getting into the NCAA tournament. And he had taken
Troy,
the team.
for instance.
Yeah, and NC State and Kentucky. But, he had taken the team to a reasonable number of NCAA tournaments. And, at that point in time, of course, the Gamecock fans as a whole were expecting Omaha every year. You get spoiled. 3 straight years, 2 straight national championships, that undefeated run. You do get spoiled. I get that. But you also have to think realistically as well and understand that as South Carolina was winning those games, winning those championships, and time was progressing, other teams were getting better and better and spending more money on college baseball. So, and the rules were changing, and teams were just getting better across the board. I mean, the baseball of today, the level of – would you agree that the level of college baseball and the depth of college baseball today is better than it was at the turn of the century in 2000 through 2010 up until today? Would you agree that it's better today?
Without question. And we're seeing that play out. A place like West Virginia, and I know for baseball, looked tremendous. Looked like a team that could win it all. over the weekend. And, even Kansas, even though they didn't fare very well against Oklahoma in the Super Regionals, the amount of parity in college baseball has grown slowly. It's taken a while, but it has started to grow out of the South and the Midwest and the West. I just saw a stat. This is the first time in decades that Omaha will not have a team from the state of California or a team from the state of Florida at the College World Series. So I think that speaks volumes as to how much, and I think it's investment too, Phil. And it's interesting, back to Chad Holbrook for a moment, that 2016 team that he took to the Supers and actually hosted may have been his undoing, because that was a team I think could have competed at the College World Series. Remember, they lost to Oklahoma State. Nobody thought anything about Oklahoma State, and all they did was come here and blitz through Clemson in the regionals and then beat South Carolina 2 straight in the Supers. And the Gamecocks, quite frankly, I'm not sure have been the same program since.
I covered all 5 of those games. I covered the regional up at Clemson and then the Super in Columbia, because it was set up for Clemson and South Carolina to meet in the Super.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole state was on fire. I remember that. The whole state was on fire. We wanted that so badly. That was going to be such a great event. But it didn't happen because Oklahoma State came in and pitched the lights out. Pitched the lights out. Go back and look at those games up at Clemson and then in Columbia as well. Their pitching was superb. And so, yeah, they advanced and South Carolina did not. I believe that's the same coach who's at Oklahoma State now was there then, wasn't he, Holiday?
Yeah, I believe you may be right. And looking, they gave up a grand total of 6 runs that entire NCAA tournament from the regional at Clemson through the Supers, because they held the Gamecocks to 1 run in each game.
Yeah, their pitching was phenomenal. So let me tell you what I think is happening. Phone number 888-898-2525 and text line number 803-900-4847. Obviously, nothing's happening, all right? There's been no puff of garnet smoke coming out of Jeremiah Donati's office today that I've seen. The plumber will ride by there on his way home and check to see if anything's coming out of the chimney. Otherwise, nothing publicly has happened. You do know that 3 of the folks being talked about, who have been talked about, who have been mentioned, who have been considered, who have been thought about, who have been written about as possible candidates. Have I covered every possibility there? 3 of them are in the College World Series. They're all on the same side of the bracket. 2 of them are going to face off on Friday. And so the earliest possible day that any of the 3 would be free of their current situation would be Sunday. And then, of course, nothing would happen Sunday related to this job. Then you're probably talking, Monday, Tuesday, if one of those 3 is the guy that Jeremiah Donati wants to go and get. And you also, of course, have the possibility that each of those 3 could win some games in Omaha and be out there for a while. So this thing could drag on deeper into next week, which, depending on how you view it from where you sit, if you're Jeremiah Donati, he's looking at a 20-year hire. He doesn't want to rush it. Or you're watching the free agents be signed up by other teams that you might possibly have a chance to get to help rebuild your program. You just have to kind of juggle those 2 factors as you're thinking about it. So you got that. And then, of course, you have Kevin Schnall at Coastal Carolina, which, of course, we know his involvement, his interest level. We know what has been reported from last week about that. A little bit more to add today from what I could gather is I do know from what I've been told that Kevin Schnall, here's what I think happened. I think it was going to be Kevin Schnall. I think Alan Smothers was 100% correct because, A, I know where his line of information originated. Excellent source. So that's number 1. Number 2, I think it was headed that way. Maybe was looked to be almost a done deal or a done deal. Nothing signed, of course. Nothing is a done deal until it's signed. I mean, that's really one of the faults that we all have. I have that fault. Others have that fault. To say something's a done deal because we're told they've agreed to it, it's a done deal, but nothing's done until everything is signed, right? So maybe cart before the horse there a little bit. But I think it was headed that direction for sure. And everybody else did too. I'm not claiming anything ahead of anybody else. Everybody who has followed this story, talked about it, written about it, has had Kevin Schnall as the guy from day one. They might word it different ways. They might parse it a different way. But they've all said he's the favorite. He's at the top of the list. He's probably going to be it, but there's so-and-so. But it's probably going to be – it always went back to Kevin Schnall, did it not? So I do know from talking today to some folks that, Kevin Schnall did do some checking around to get background information, insight, did do some checking around, digging around his own investigation into the program that he was maybe looking at inheriting. To know what he would be getting into, you know what I mean? So he
I don't doubt that in the least.
He was doing his due diligence. So that to me, that's another indication to me that thing was moving right then and there in that direction. He was doing his due diligence. He was, talking to people, multiple people, getting answers, questions, et cetera, about because this is a different animal from what he's used to there, from what he's had at Coastal Carolina. So I think that is where it was, and then I think. This is just me thinking. I don't know this. Well, we do know that there was conversation with Scott Forbes last week. We do know that. Has there been a big offer made to him? I don't know. Well, I'll read you something Teddy Hefner reported, but myself, I don't know. But I think about the time all this seemed to be happening with Schnall, in my opinion, in my own little timeline here, I'm thinking that the agent for Forbes reached out to South Carolina to get the ball going there. Not that Forbes wasn't always a thought, but see, now Forbes had agreed to a new contract at North Carolina, as you probably well know, back at the end of March, not too long after Maneri was fired. And so he agreed to that. Did he actually sign the contract? We don't know if he has signed the contract. When North Carolina put out their release on March 31st, their headline said he had signed this new extension, but the body of the story said he had agreed to terms. Didn't say he had signed. So I don't know what's accurate there, and we still don't know to this day. But he he'd agreed to this deal at North Carolina through 2031 to tie him in there. Now, one thing about Scott Forbes that I've learned from talking to folks is he is a genuinely good guy. A terrific person, and he is not the type of guy to play a school against another, and he's not the type of guy to walk away from a situation that's already good. The point is, I'm getting the information is it would be very surprising to some people if he were to leave North Carolina because he's been there for so long. He's got a great situation there. Got an excellent program, a really good team, and he also realizes that I'm putting thoughts in his head. I'm assuming that he perhaps realizes if you look at the South Carolina situation, their roster has been depleted down to practically nothing. I mean, the plumber could go out there and be their starting catcher right now. Okay, so their roster is down to nothing, and the idea that, a bunch of his players might follow him to South Carolina probably wouldn't carry water because they're going from being a College World Series team to a team that's going to be in complete rebuilding mode. And why would you do that if you're already at North Carolina? And they're probably, if he were to leave, he has an assistant coach who's been there for a while that would possibly be promoted to the head coaching job. I'm just saying there's a lot of reasons to think that if that is a direction that Jeremiah Donati has been looking and reaching, there's reason to believe that Forbes would stay put at North Carolina. He's got a lot of reasons to stay there. And plus, with the season they're having, they may even bump him up more and give him more. I know South Carolina's maybe tossing bigger NIL dollars at him and that sort of stuff. But, I mean, my gosh, the guy's proven he can win at the highest level with what he's got right now. The one thing he hasn't done, the one thing they haven't done at North Carolina is win the whole thing. And they've been there a lot. They just haven't won the whole thing. So
I don't disagree with anything you said, Phil. I told you this earlier. I will throw out one name. I guarantee you, prior to last season, if you told Virginia fans the exact same story you just told, North Carolina fans, they would have said there is no way on this earth Brian O'Connor is leaving UVA to go anywhere, much less Mississippi State. Then Mississippi State rolled the Brinks truck up to his front door, and off he went.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't argue that point. So these are just thoughts. Now, here is what Teddy Hefner reported this morning. Teddy, longtime reporter in Columbia, and does a morning sports talk show in Columbia, but for several decades, of course, a sports writer with the state newspaper. Great contacts, especially the baseball side of things, but great contacts. So when he writes something, and he doesn't often venture out onto social media to report things. So when he writes something, you take it to heart, if you ask me. So he wrote this morning, according to what I've been told, Scott Forbes is now number one on the coaching search. I'm told the Gamecocks are prepared to offer as much as $2 million a year. He is signed through 2028. No, I think that's 2031, at a base salary of $1.7 million. However, I'm also told that he's unlikely to leave the Tar Heel State. The same with Steve Sabins of West Virginia. Skylar Meade is also at the top of the list, as, of course, is Kevin Schnall. One source told me the North Carolina athletic department is a mess with the Bill Belichick experiment not working. Yet, anyway, the proud basketball program was fourth in the ACC this past season, and athletic director Bubba Cunningham is in the final phase of his tenure. Schnall still figures to be the guy, but he turned down $1.3 million from Tennessee in 2025. Would South Carolina go to $2 million for him? As I said last week, this is Teddy, Schnall hurt himself with his tirade after the Tallahassee Regional. South Carolina officials were unhappy with that behavior, but I don't believe that is enough to stop a job offer. That was from Teddy Hefner this morning. So just a couple of things here. I think he's off. If I remember correctly, I'll go back and double-check, or maybe you can double-check, Bergie. I believe that Forbes deal he signed was through 2031.
2031.
That's what I think I read. Go back and look. You can find the formal release from North Carolina. And to me, if you're going to hire, if Skylar Meade is what you're thinking, then why don't you hire Kevin Schnall and get it over with? I mean,
no doubt.
I'm not knocking Skylar Meade, really. I'm sure he's a fine baseball coach. He's done a heck of a job at Troy. But, again, you need to be careful about the flavor of the day who got hot in the tournament and made it to the big dance. Like in basketball, you hire a guy and then you got Darren Hort on your hands. Not saying this would be the case. He might come in here and win 5 national championships. I'm just saying you could get it. You got the same type of resume ready to go for you with Kevin Schnall. You know, he took his team to Omaha last year, got to the national championship game. Let's see if Troy's able to do that. And, of course, he's got a national championship ring and, you know, all that experience as an assistant coach at Coastal.
Ironically, in that previously discussed 2016 season we were just chatting about from the Clemson, South Carolina perspective. And you're right about Scott Forbes. His contract extension was through 2031.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention here, too, the thing about the tirade, it's a non-issue. It was
not a tirade.
He was ticked off about the weather, about how they handled the weather delay. I mean, that's just coaches belly aching. They do that all the time. I can't believe that would be an issue with anybody. Okay, we'll be right back.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at FutureScholar.com. That's FutureScholar.com. That's FutureScholar.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is right around the corner here in the Palmetto State. As you get ready for this spring and summer, make sure your registration sticker is up to date and you have a copy of your registration card on board your boat. For more information on boat registration and answers to common questions, visit dnr.sc.gov.
Business owners, if you're ready to grow your business, you can relax. With Founders Federal Credit Union, we mean business. When it comes to business loans, from equipment to expansion, our flexible financing can help fund real business growth. If you're considering a business loan, such as real estate, vehicles, equipment, or an unsecured loan or line of credit, our team is here to help. Our local experts will review your application, resulting in quick decisions and processing. And unlike most banks, we don't charge prepayment penalties. As always, from Founders, you can expect great rates and exceptional service along the way. Visit foundersfcu.com/business to learn more, or to get started, stop by an office near you or give us a call. 800-845-1614. That's 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Loans are subject to credit evaluation and underwriting requirements.
These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday.
On top of the USC baseball story, really the big story of the year in sports, I don't want to overstate it, but a ruling by a judge today that Brendan Sorsby can play football at Texas Tech after sitting out 2 games. And all kind of stuff coming out as of this, all kind of spin from Texas Tech, all kind of criticism coming from other areas, reactions from athletic directors, some athletic directors in the Big 12 saying they won't play Texas Tech now because of playing against this kid who's got a gambling issue, a major gambling issue, who gambled on his own team when he was at Indiana and I think at Cincinnati. I mean, he's got a big problem. And, he went to rehab for, 35 days? And that supposedly fixed the problem. And,
Sure it did.
Now, the NCAA is going to appeal this ruling by this judge, so this isn't over yet. NCAA is going to appeal the ruling handed out today by the judge. But this was shocking. And, all I got to say to that judge is Pete Rose on line 1. I mean, Pete Rose should have found you back when he was alive. He'd be in the Hall of Fame today because he'd have gotten a favorable ruling, I guess. We'll talk more about that and take your phone calls after the break.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Not cooling down much this evening. We'll have a low dropping to 73. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day long. 30% chance for afternoon and early evening showers. The high is 87. We warm up to the low 90s on Wednesday, the mid 90s by Thursday and Friday, with that same 20 to 30% chance for rain each afternoon. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Join us weekday mornings at 7:31 a.m. for Straight to the Point with Pastor Steve Williamson. That's Straight to the Point, weekday mornings, 7:31 a.m. here on The Point, 100.7 FM.
20-year career politician Ralph Norman fought President Trump's big, beautiful bill. He endorsed Nikki Haley over Trump, even when she called Trump unhinged, old, and disgusting. Ralph Norman, another anti-Trump, Nikki Haley-loving career politician.
Paid for by Ready for Governor.
The new With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Ukrainian forces have struck oil facilities in Russia and occupied Ukraine as part of their campaign to impose economic costs on Moscow. Ukrainian and Russian officials confirmed the attacks on Monday. Ukraine's President Zelensky has confirmed that Roman Abramovich acted as a mediator between Kyiv and Moscow, delivering messages from Russian President Putin. 3 more cases of the New World screwworm have been confirmed, including one outside Texas, demonstrating the difficulty of stopping a pest that could potentially devastate the nation's cattle industry. The U.S. Department of Agriculture announced Monday the new cases were found in a dog from New Mexico and hundreds of miles away in a goat and calf in Texas. More details available at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Mark Lynch claims he's the conservative choice to represent South Carolina, but his past tells a different story. Multiple DUIs, a hit-and-run arrest, a cocaine trafficking conviction, and that's just the beginning of U.S. Senate candidate Mark Lynch's rap sheet. Lynch's own business was caught red-handed violating immigration laws, the very laws designed to protect American jobs from illegal workers. And now we learn that some of Lynch's closest advisors think that women shouldn't even be allowed to vote, and also accused the President of the United States of orchestrating 9/11. One advisor even supported an alleged pedophile. Mark Lynch, a rap sheet fit for a convict, not a United States senator, and a past far too problematic to represent us. Palmetto Action is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Palmetto Action, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.palmettoaction.com.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Rodney. We're the owners of Shingles Now.
So there are a ton of roofers out there, too many frankly, and some of them, well, they lack ethics and morals.
We are both GAF certified master lead contractors. That might not mean much to you, but if you need a roof repair or a replacement, it's essential, and it weeds out a lot of the fly-by-night roofers out there.
Replacing a roof is not something you do every day, so do it right. You want someone licensed, insured, local, and respected. Here at Shingles Now, you can count on us today and to still be here tomorrow.
Shingles Now, the right way, right away. Visit shinglesnow.com.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network. Phone number 888-898-2525. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/education wins, and playing for fun is a win for education. And our text line number 803-900-4847, brought to you by Larry Lucas, State Farm Agency. Larry's been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today, or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. His Lexington number, 803-359-0770. And our poll question for this week, people actually like this question. It's odd. Brought to you by Larry Lucas State Farm. If it's Scott Forbes or Kevin Schnall for the USC job, just those two. If it's Scott Forbes or Kevin Schnall, should Jeremiah Donati wait on Forbes at the CWS or move on to Schnall? Your two answers, Bergie, are wait on or move on. Wait on, move on. Wait on, move on. 70% of the respondents have voted move on. Move on. Schnall. Move on.
Yes.
Schnall.
I don't know how you legitimately wait another 2 weeks, because North Carolina, considering where they are in their bracket side, I mean, they're on with West Virginia, Troy, and Ole Miss. They're the better of those 4 teams. I just don't see how you can wait until the championship series, and then you've got to be awfully, awfully, awfully sure that Forbes is going to be your guy if you're going to wait on him.
Yeah.
I mean, you better be darn sure you can get that done.
The other thing, too, is I just like the idea of getting a young guy up and coming who hasn't really made his name nationally and let him come in and build a program and make his name at your program. Scott Forbes has made his name at North Carolina. He's got his name. He's got his ID. You know, Ray Tanner had never been to Omaha when South Carolina hired him from NC State. And he saw the vision of Mike McGee and what Mike McGee planned to do for baseball. He didn't see that same vision at NC State. You know, didn't see the facilities and everything else at that time, which was important. Back in those days, facilities were hugely important. You didn't have the NIL issue to worry about. It was facilities. That was the main thing. And, of course, coaches' salaries. So he saw a better situation at South Carolina. Of course, he came and took over, and they were playing at the Sarge and got it going right away within a couple of years. And greatness happened at South Carolina. He made his name. I don't know that anybody thinks of Ray Tanner as having been might not even know unless you looked it up that he was the head coach for several years at NC State before he came to South Carolina. But he made his name at South Carolina. I like that idea. You know, Skylar Meade would really make his name at South Carolina. But I think, you know, I don't think it should go beyond. If it's Forbes is a possibility, which I don't think he'll leave North Carolina, which leads me back to Schnall, which leads me to the question, what are you waiting on? You know, there must be something hang up, contractual or personnel-wise or something, where they're not getting this deal, if that's the deal, where they're not getting this deal completed, signed off, and the wheels in motion to make that happen. All right, let's go to the phones, 888-898-2525. Who would you like? Who is your choice to be the next baseball coach at South Carolina? 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here. Delvin in Fountain Inn, you are up first this week on Sports Talk. Welcome in. How are you?
First time I call. Phil Kornbluth should be the head coach of South Carolina.
I could get it done. I could get it done.
Yeah.
I would play Earl Weaver ball, 3-run homer.
I hear it.
Forget the bunt. Forget advancing people. I want the 3-run. I want the smasher up there. I want the 3-run homer. I want a bunch of Georgia. Yeah. I want a bunch of Georgia and Mississippi State hitters in my lineup.
Certainly working for the Dogs, at least the Georgia ones.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, this whole Brandon Schwartz thing. Their judge is from Lubbock, so I'm not surprised at all that they ruled in this way. But it's ridiculous. The judge should recruit himself, first of all, so I'm not going to be a part of this and get an outside judge. Because I knew this was going to happen from the get-go. As soon as they said the judge from Lubbock, I said he's going to be playing this year. And if you're going to suspend him, don't suspend him for the first 2 games against Avalon Christian and Oregon State. Suspend against Houston, BYU, Arizona State, Arizona. Suspend 1 or 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's another indication that the NCAA, everything about the NCAA, it does not hold up in court. And it's another indication, too, if from the NCAA people or other people, that they need congressional help to make this thing survive. If not, you're just gonna what rule can be challenged next? I saw somebody post, you know, maybe well, we already got former NBA players, maybe a former NFL player now who gets cut in training camp is going to want to come back to college and sue to get his eligibility back to be able to play this season since he didn't make it. Yeah, I mean, there's no limit as to what can be torn down now. I guess if this can certainly happen, anything can happen when it comes to the regulations in that NCAA rule book.
And then the excuse that the judge gave, it didn't cause irreparable damage and stuff like that. It should cause he the one doing the gambling stuff. It should cause damage to him.
That is correct. You're not getting any argument from me. I mean, I think it's reprehensible that a judge can do this. And being from Lubbock, Texas, that's the key too. Oh yeah, home cooking, man. Home cooking.
You know, as far as the coach goes for South Carolina, I think he's going to be Snall. I think it's going to be Kevin Snall after this.
Well, what you waiting on?
I don't know, but I think it's going to be Snall. If it's not Snall, I think it might be Scott or me, because I don't think Scott Ford going anywhere.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the call. 888-898-2525. Let's go to, while we wait for some more calls to roll in, you can get through right away. Let's go to some text messages here from Stephen in Rock Hill. I don't understand why Forbes would ever leave North Carolina for South Carolina. I mean, from what I can gather, he's not the kind of guy that can be bought. But then again, they did talk. We do know that.
Mm-hmm.
We do know they talked. At least we've been told we weren't sitting there. I didn't eyewitness it, but been told that they at least had a conversation. One other thing about Schnall in trying to put this team back together to have a competitive team in 2027. Coastal's had, 9 players, I think, enter the portal?
It's pretty close.
And I think what those guys are thinking is that Schnall's leaving, so they're hitting the portal.
That would be my guess, too, yeah.
So Schnall comes to South Carolina. What can he do? He can go to the portal and get some of his old guys back, just like Cignetti at Indiana did with football.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening. All right, from the 803.
And to answer our texter's question, that's not the right question. I can give you 5 reasons why you would leave North Carolina for South Carolina. Better facilities, more money put into baseball, a better conference to play in. I mean, there are 5 SEC teams in the College World Series. How much more reasons do you need? But I think the question is, would he leave North Carolina after what he's built at North Carolina and how long he's been there? I don't think the question is, why would he go to South Carolina? There are a lot of reasons for him to go to USC.
Well, as much as it pains me to mention this, I'm trying to see if I can find the figure on this. So South Carolina's been, let's see, the Gamecocks have been in the College World Series 6 times under Tanner, right? 1 time, I'm going off memory, 6 times under Tanner, 3 times, and then the other 3. And then they went once under Bobby Richardson. That would be 7. How many times under June Raines? About 2 or 3 times under June Raines? How many times?
The number keeps in my head is 11. I don't know that that's right, but.
Well, I'm just saying, North Carolina's been to the CWS. This will make their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. This is their 13th CWS appearance. 13th. So, I mean, they've got a really great tradition as well. They just haven't won the whole thing. They've been runner-up twice.
They just have 0 trophies for it. Yeah,
they've been runner-up twice. So the point is, everybody talks about Boshemer Stadium and their facilities and all that, but they still find a way to get it done because they get good players.
Mm-hmm.
They get good pitching. Doubt. They got pitching. They got pitching going to bed. And by the way, that game, that Southern Cal North Carolina game, what a game! I mean, seriously, that was the game where I'm thinking, man, they ought to play these basketball tournament games at home sites. Imagine that. There was 2 things there, though. I mean, Southern Cal had no one to blame but itself. They misplayed the foul ball that would have ended the bottom of the 9th and sent it to extras. Mm-hmm. But then, and I can't wait to talk to Chad Holbrook about this. Hopefully he'll be with us at 7:05. The play, the winning hit that carried to the track, it didn't get to the wall. Why did the center fielder go to his knees so soon? He could have kept on running and caught that ball, couldn't he?
I played a grand total of 0 outs in center field, so I can give you all my.
Does that mean
my
you
expertise.
You have no experience doing that?
Have 0 experience in the outfield, but I will say this: I think because I remember the guys on television talking about they had to bring the outfield was prior to the guys getting to first and third. I think it was or first base. I think the guy that they had gotten to first base in a tie game, they sent the outfielders deep because they didn't want to give up a double that would win the game. But then they had to bring him in to try and make a play at the plate, and I think he just had too far to run, would be my guess. But Chad Holbrook's obviously going to be a much, much better resource on that than I could be.
Yeah, looking forward to having some good questions and some good answers from him.
And I want to circle back to this Texas Tech thing when we get a minute, too.
All right. Well, here is from Mike in Barnwell. The judge is a Texas Tech fan, probably. And he also asked, what do you think a NIL deal is for baseball players. I don't really, NIL deals just like anybody else. It's money. It's I mean, you have an NIL value, I guess, and you can go make money off your name, image, and likeness through social media or through public appearances, endorsements, autographs. But I don't know if you're asking about a dollar figure for typical baseball, I don't know what that is. For that matter, I don't know what any of them are, because it's all in the dark. It's all a deep, dark secret. Let's go back to the phones, 888-898-2525. Hank in Columbia, you're up next. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Corn, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
All right, the NIL for baseball probably just like anybody else depends on how many followers they got and all that, because oftentimes it's not even about how great the player is unless they're one of the superstars. This is about if there's a player that somehow amassed a whole bunch of followers on their social media, then the companies are happy for them to do something because they just want the eyes. They don't really want the players; they want those eyes that would be on whatever they would be talking about.
Yep. I agree.
And what I would think about, for Carolina, I would want Snow. I like every time I hear him, I like the edge that he kind of talks about with, and he kind of has that edge. It's kind of just a little bit reminds me like of Tanner when he first got here, and it was kind of always like, why not us? And win the day, and Tanner, everybody saw the nice guy Tanner as a AD, but he got into it as a baseball coach, and Snow kind of reminds me of that kind of guy. As far as Forbes, a guy from North Carolina, you would say he would never lead there, but what I've noticed over the last couple of years is that these teams, some of these schools, in their quest to win that almighty football championship, have kind of slighted some of the more Olympic sports. And basketball is king at North Carolina to start off with, but when they did start all that stuff with Belichick, you think you have a baseball coach that had all that success that you mentioned, and he's looking at some of the money they're throwing out around for Belichick's staff and getting rid of folk, bringing folk in, and especially when they went to the rev sharing. Remember how many coaches got kind of in baseball and stuff kind of got butthurt by how the AD split up that money and all.
Yep, you're exactly right.
So that's where you've seen some of this jumping. So I wouldn't just count it out, because sometimes you feel like you've done so much, and when the push came to shove, you would think, well, I'm gonna get a good fair shake, and then you see this happen, and that might be the thing. It might be not so much the men's basketball, because you probably understand it in North Carolina, but just looking at the football situation, just in general, historically, and then looking at what Belichick's first couple of years have looked like. And so, sometimes it's just the feelings get hurt.
Yep, you're right. And, we'll see how Belichick does in year number 2. They still have to solve their quarterback situation. Right now, going into the preseason camp, Billy Edwards Jr. is listed as their number 1 quarterback. He's a transfer from, I guess Wisconsin was his last stop. He started at Wake Forest, went to Maryland, then to Wisconsin. This guy's at his 4th school in as many years. Holy cow. He did throw in 2024. He did pass for about 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. But last year he only threw 16 passes. So I don't know what they got as far as their quarterback situation is concerned. They got to solve that riddle, number 1. I mean, that was a disastrous football team last year. Watching them play Clemson, that team quit midway through the second quarter. Clemson could have put 100 on them if Dabo wanted to stick it to him. But we'll see if he can bounce back. That first year can always be tenuous and a struggle. And after another year,
that's the whole drama, Corn.
Beg your pardon?
That's the whole thing. But that's what I'm saying. You get all that drama and all that money they threw out there, and you think a coach that's been there for a long time, and even though you can say he's got it done, he's probably known when he's had to break his back and get those extra hours to get those players in and get it done. And if you remember when Tanner came to South Carolina, a lot of those good players from North Carolina came over here to play for Tanner.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Landon Powell showed up here, because he was headed to North Carolina when Tanner came, or NC State or something like that, and he came over to play for Tanner.
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, right. And Tanner had known him since he was a little kid. He'd been around the NC State baseball team. He was a ball boy, a bat boy, whatever. So that was a Ray Tanner relationship thing. And remember, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he skipped his senior year of high school.
He did.
To come to South Carolina early.
So that's the thing I'm thinking about when I look at somebody like Forbes. I look at some of these high profile coaches who built programs, who jumped ship, and for something that looks strange, and a lot of times it's been the disrespect from the school in terms of the rev sharing and the NIL deal, and you know why. I mean, I can see with basketball up at North Carolina, but the amount of money they've been pouring into that football program, given their history, you would think that the baseball guy would at least get a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm sure that's part of the negotiations. Now, you can't – and thank you very much. You're not going to be able to ignore baseball anymore at the highest level, Bergie, when it comes to NIL and all that, because the sport can create – great enthusiasm for your program, great drama, and draw crowds as well. It can be a money winner.
Oh, absolutely can. I think this weekend proves that in places you would expect to be big baseball havens, like, say, West Virginia and Lawrence, Kansas.
Be right back.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
Effective training is not just about lifting heavier weight. It is about producing force with control. The Tsunami Bar was developed in 2012 to enhance high-intensity workouts while helping reduce joint stress. Its flexible design creates controlled oscillation, requiring your muscles to stabilize and work together throughout each movement. This promotes greater muscle activation, improved balance, and stronger functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports is committed to continuous improvement, delivering dynamic training tools for individuals at every fitness level. Whether you are focused on long-term strength, injury prevention, or improving rotational stability for sports like golf, Tsunami Bar training supports total body performance. Discover more at TsunamiBarSports.com. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com. That's TsunamiBarSports.com.
All right, we're back. Have recruiting for you coming up in a little bit. Hopefully Chad Holbrook, 7:05, if he's able to be with us on schedule. South Carolina's lost another baseball commitment. Tell you about that coming up in recruiting. And also Ty Phillips, who is at Irmo High School. He's from North Carolina, transferred into Irmo. Really had very little to do in recruiting with the Gamecocks or the Tigers. But big-time running back. He's going to be announcing in about 5 minutes who has him. Rivals has him. Rivals will be doing his announcement on their YouTube. Alabama, Florida State, or Stanford are his three finalists.
Wow.
And he's right in the backyard of South Carolina and Clemson, but they didn't do anything with him. Never had him really in for a visit or anything seriously, so they never really liked him or he never really liked them. So Alabama, Florida State, or Stanford are his three. That announcement's coming up in just a few minutes. In the meantime, back to the phones, and Keith in Camden is with us next as we approach the top of the hour. Welcome in.
Hey, Phil. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Up in Greenville for a convention with the church, and gonna listen to y'all. Plumber just gave me the radio station, so gonna listen on y'all tonight. Delayed, but I wanted to ask, any update on baseball, Coach? Are we still kicking it down the road?
Yeah, status quo from what the last thing you probably knew on Friday through the weekend up to today at this point, as far as publicly. Now, who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Heck, there could be a candidate out there that nobody even knows about who's going to.
Absolutely.
Of course, if they had that guy, they could go ahead and name him. You know, if they had him, you could go ahead and name him. So maybe they don't have anybody else. But nothing publicly has occurred since the last time you checked.
All right, looking forward to listening tonight. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much. For those of you who travel up to Greenville and you want to flip over and find us, we have a great affiliate up there, 104.9, great signal. But they tape delay us because they have local programming that runs until 7 o'clock. So they tape delay us. They take the whole show. So you'll hear the show in its entirety, unless we're preempted by a sporting event. You hear the show in its entirety as we did the show. Instead of playing the second hour live and then throwing the first hour on the back end of that, we worked it out and decided to just delay the entire show, 6 to 8. So you hear it in the correct order in its entirety. It's just an hour behind. So you might get confused. It confuses me. It confuses me trying to explain it, Bergie. That's how you can get confused.
It's pretty simple. You get to hear the whole show. We're just an hour later than everywhere else in the state.
Just getting a note here from Coach Holbrook. He would prefer 7:30, so we'll give him 7:30 tonight. He could do 7:05, but I work at his command. If 7:30 is better for him, we give him 7:30 because we owe that to him to work around his schedule. He doesn't work around our schedule. I know he's out there hitting the free agency portal and recruiting and trying to find players for the Cougars. So we'll have him at 7:30. So we'll continue with calls and text messages and recruiting coming up.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Security is tight for tonight's Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A massive security fence as tall as Wemby surrounds Madison Square Garden in Manhattan for Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight between the Knicks and Spurs. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
No one will be allowed inside the secured area unless they have a ticket to the game, a train ticket, they are going to a business inside the area, they have credentials, or they have some other authorized reason.
1,000 gets you nosebleed seats. Getting into any seat, says the Secret Service's Matt McCool, not quick or easy.
All attendees will pass through TSA-style magnetometer screening.
Julie Walker, New York.
One candidate in the Los Angeles mayoral race says the contest is far from settled. Willie Nelson reports from Los Angeles.
Community advocate Spencer Pratt is remaining optimistic in the Los Angeles mayor primary, despite recently falling behind in the vote count. In a series of social media posts, Pratt is pointing to the large number of ballots still left to be counted and arguing the race remains far from over. The comments come as election officials continue tallying votes nearly a week after Election Day, with the contest still separated by less than a percentage point. Willie Nelson, Los Angeles.
3 more cases of the New World screwworm have been confirmed, including one outside the main cluster in Texas, demonstrating the difficulty of stopping a resurgent pest. that could devastate the nation's cattle industry, that according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 80 points, the Nasdaq rose to 20, the S&P advanced 21. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
U.S. consumers appear to be changing their spending habits now that the war with Iran has driven fuel prices higher. Bob Agnew reports.
Some company executives and retail analysts say many shoppers are reassessing what they buy and where. The behavior changes include drivers flocking to the fuel pumps at warehouse stores like Costco and Sam's Club, and not filling up their tanks all the way when they do. Market research firms say foot traffic is down at clothing and electronics stores. Executives from Walmart, McDonald's, and Dollar General have reported noticeable cutbacks by lower-income shoppers. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Pentagon has added several prominent Chinese businesses to its list of Chinese military companies. The list includes tech giant Alibaba, electric car maker BYD, and search engine Baidu. The move prevents them from securing U.S. defense contracts. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Not cooling down much this evening. We'll have a low dropping to 73. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day long. 30% chance for afternoon and early evening showers, and the high is 87. We warm up to the low 90s on Wednesday, the mid 90s by Thursday and Friday, with that same 20 to 30% chance for rain each afternoon. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us here on this Monday night. Phone lines available, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you there. Text line 803-900-4847. Phil Kornblut here with the plumber at our studios in Columbia. And we have Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace joining us as well as always tonight. And you can join in on the phone by giving us a call or sending us a text message. And Ty Phillips just committed to Alabama. So Irmo gets the credit, though he moved in from North Carolina. So running back Ty Phillips has committed to Alabama. And that's a big pickup, I guess, for the Crimson Tide. I mean, if the Crimson Tide recruits you, comes after you, and takes you, Bergie, they must believe you're a good football player.
I would think so. Yeah, this isn't the old days where they just soak up every talented player they could find and, hide them away on the bench. So, yeah, they have designs on, I'm sure, utilizing him. What class is he, 2027?
2027. So South Carolina, and we'll get into recruiting in a little bit, South Carolina had an official visit weekend, but really only 3 non-committed players were in. none of them committed to this point publicly. They're all planning to continue to take at least one more visit, but all three of them had a great time at South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are very much in the hunt. But the Gamecocks did lose one of their top commitments over the weekend. Again, we'll talk about all that in recruiting coming up in just a few minutes. Meantime, over to some more text messages at 803-900-4847. Eddie in Conway said, since 1999 inception of Super Regional existing formats, appearances in the Supers, Florida State 19, LSU 18, Fullerton 17, South Carolina 16. Pretty good place to coach, I would say, at South Carolina. Thank you, Eddie. Think about this, though. I mean, you're right. It is. It's a great place to coach. But it's hard to get to Omaha. This might be the most grueling system of all in determining your top teams to play for a championship. It's grueling. I mean, think about it. These guys go through a 56-game regular season. Then they go to their tournament, and if you're good like Georgia, you're going to play how many games did they play? Well, they only had to play 3 in the SEC tournament. But that's 3 high-pressure, high-tension games. Mm-hmm. And then you go to your regional. You're going to play at least 3 games. If you lose, you're going to play more. We're going to play at least 3 games there. Then you're going to go to the Super. You're going to play 2 games there. And, I mean, it's about pitching and the wear and tear on your pitching staff. It's tough. It is a tough grind to get to Omaha. There's nothing that epitomizes that statement more than the fact that Southern Cal, which has won more baseball national championships than anybody, has not been to Omaha since 2001.
It's crazy.
Think about that. Let that sink in your soup as you suck it down. Since 2001, Southern Cal has not made it to the College World Series. That is hard to fathom.
Yeah, I'm guessing Ron Dado is probably wondering what in the world happened to the program I built. And it's funny, ironic, but sad. I mean, he's been gone since 2006. They have not made the College World Series in that span of time.
Yeah.
And he led them to 11 College World Series. He, by himself, led Southern Cal to as many College World Series appearances as the Gamecocks have as a program.
Yep. So the point is, it's hard to get there. It's just,
no doubt,
it's hard to get there. To expect to get there, I mean, the goal, to quote Eddie Fogler, the goal should be to make it, but the expectation should not be to make it. I remember he had a press conference one time. He was in one of his feuds with McGee, because I think McGee said publicly the goal was to the expectation. I think he said the expectation was to make the NCAA tournament every year. And Fogler's like, no, the goal is to make it. The expectation, for this particular program, because then he went back and recited how many times the Gamecocks had made the tournament in their entire history, which you could pretty much count on a little over one hand at that time. He said, no, the goal should be to make it, not the expectation. I think the same thing with baseball. I mean, your goal should be to make it every year. And I mean, I really think when you're talking about South Carolina and Clemson baseball, the goal should be to make it. And I think you could say, I mean, is it too much to say the expectation for South Carolina and Clemson baseball is to make the NCAA tournament every year?
No, I don't. Because still this is a Southern, Midwest, West Coast-based sport. As we talked about earlier, it's starting to branch out, and that's great. I mean, you get to St. John's, you get to West Virginia, you get some of these cold weather teams that have actually performed pretty well. But for our programs here in our state, and I'll put Coastal into that mix as well, the expectation should be the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. Now, the goal should be reaching the College World Series. That should never be the expectation, I don't think, for any program. Because you're right, Phil, it's nearly impossible. We have 8 new teams. All the teams that were in the College World Series last year are not around at this point in time.
Yeah. Again, that just, I think, kind of shows you that the parity, and that more and more money is being spent across the country on college baseball, because I think athletic directors are now recognizing that college baseball is an attractive sport. And also, of course, ESPN, with their coverage and their money coming in, that also is helping the sport to grow. So, I mean, if you can't fall in love with college baseball, if you weren't a college baseball fan at all, but you just happened to watch over the weekend, if you couldn't fall in love with college baseball from watching over the weekend, you don't have the love gene. You're just a tub of glue if you couldn't fall in love with baseball from watching over the weekend. Did you fall in love with baseball watching over the weekend, Plummer, or are you a tub of glue?
Say that question. Say it again.
A tub of goo.
Say that.
Did you fall in love with college baseball over the weekend by watching college baseball?
I didn't fall in love with college baseball this weekend. I don't think I watched any this weekend.
But you like college baseball?
I love college baseball.
Okay. So it was a great weekend. It was a great it was a statement weekend, I would say, Bergie, for college baseball with the drama and the performances out there.
I would agree. And again, if you can't get romantic, pull a line away from what was that? What's the name of the movie about the Oakland A's and Billy Beane?
Moneyball.
Moneyball, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can't get romantic about college baseball after watching this weekend, something's wrong with you because, I mean, they're just great theater. I mean, if you like pitching, you probably did not enjoy watching the Georgia-Mississippi State series. But if you loved offense, I mean, good grief. Just incredible what those two programs were able to accomplish. And I thought I was watching South Carolina circa Justin Smoke. When they got down there and hit 5 home runs in a row. Mississippi State hit, I think, 3 straight at one juncture in those games over the weekend. Just great stuff. I mean, it really was. It was a lot of fun. We all love college baseball anyway, so I didn't need to be swayed. But, yeah, it was terrific stuff over the weekend for sure.
You know, it's funny, too. I was listening to the Georgia broadcast while they were playing that game as Mississippi State was hitting those home runs. And their play-by-play announcer, who's been around a long time doing baseball there, I guess he was on the call back when South Carolina played Georgia in a regional, and South Carolina hit 5 consecutive home runs. Remember that? And I believe our man Mike Morgan was on the call.
Yes, he was. He was on the TV broadcast, I think. I don't think he was doing radio. I think it was a TV broadcast.
Well, they hit 5, and this guy's saying, this is reminding me of South Carolina all over again. Can we stop this? How do we stop this? There goes another one. Ball was really, I tell you, the ball was carrying in Athens over the weekend. Both teams were hitting it. I can't remember the total of home runs. How many total home runs did they hit?
I want to say 20 between the two teams. I think I remember seeing that stat late. It may have actually increased before the second game was over, but I think it was in the neighborhood of 20.
All right, here we go. Another text message, 843 coming through. Phil, yes, sir. We only made it to Omaha 11 times when the powerhouses like Texas 39 times and others. We are not close to that, LOL. 11 trips out of 16 super regionals. I mean, yeah, look, I mean, you have your upper tier, like your Texas and like your, well, I guess Texas really kind of stands by itself at 39 trips to Omaha, right?
And what?
How many
Florida State, how many trips that they had?
Yeah, and I guess even though Southern Cal hasn't been in a long time, they have a pretty, I guess they've been there a lot. I don't know what their number is. But South Carolina's, the Gamecocks have been there 11 times. Is that what we determined? That's a pretty fair number. That's a pretty fair number. North Carolina's been there more, but that's a pretty fair number. Clemson's been there about as many times as the Gamecocks, not knowing off the top of my head. They've probably been there 9 or 10 times, but they just haven't won the big one like the Gamecocks have. That is the difference. Florida State's been there 24 times. Thank you for that. And one more from the 843. Do you guys think 12, if it's not –
by the way.
Say again?
Clemson's been 12.
Okay. They've been there more than South Carolina?
Yep. One more.
Do you guys think if it's not Coastal's coach, he is the type of person to say, hey, I'm not the new coach? Do you guys think if it's not the Coastal coach, he is the type of person to say, hey, I'm not the new coach? I don't understand that one at all. Be right back.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
There's people that go their whole education without having an African-American teacher. So when I received my lottery-funded life scholarship, I knew I wanted to choose a school that had the Call Me Mr. program. Their mission is to recruit and retain teachers to be those role models for students in underserved areas. And that's what I want to do for my students.
More role models means a better South Carolina. And a better South Carolina means a better you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Hi, I'm attorney Jim Corbett. For over 35 years, I've been handling claims and cases for individuals and small businesses. I've now been a mediator for more than 10 years. Let me put that experience to work for you. Like if you're injured in a wreck or on the job or at someone else's place, anytime you should get reimbursed or compensated. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968 or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Corbett with an E, and the initial consultation is free. Jim Corbett to settle your claims, avoid a lawsuit, or go to trial.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, time for recruiting. Here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. We got a brand new menu for Seawells for this week, a brand new week of the Daily Luncheon Buffet. Plumber, what you got? Plumber, what you got?
Chicken tenders, fried flounder fillets, smoked sausages with peppers and onions, and beef tips and mushroom gravy. That's just Tuesday.
Give me a Wednesday.
Southern fried chicken, Italian spaghetti with meat sauce, grilled teriyaki salmon, and fried pork chops.
Give me a Thursday.
A Thursday at Seawell's Southern Fried Chicken, sliced beef brisket, carved applewood smoked ham, and shrimp Alfredo.
That can mean only one thing and one thing only for Friday.
Friday at Seawell's Southern Fried Chicken, carved roasted sirloin of beef, also known as Roast Beef Friday.
Yep.
Honey barbecue and lemon pepper chicken wings, and baked flounder fillets with mango relish.
Love the mango. Give me more mango. Mom, the mango. All right, don't forget, not only do they have the best buffet in the buffet business, they do the best job of catering in the catering business. None other than Seawells. They've been doing it about 80 years now. About 80 years. You don't stay in the food business for about 80 years unless you're darn good. That is Seawells, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. When you come to Columbia, say you're coming to Columbia to fight for lower taxes, or you're coming to Columbia to go buy your Gamecock tickets or whatever, make it a point to go to Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet. They will take care of you, and you will not be disappointed. Now to recruiting. Over the weekend, defensive tackle Nate Kamba, 6'5", 300 of Charlotte, visited South Carolina officially. Pretty simple with him. It's either South Carolina or Auburn. He had a long list of big-time offers. He's down to those two. suffice it to say, had a great time with Shane Beamer and Travian Robertson. One thing he told us was that Beamer competed with them. They had a little competition, little drill competition, and he said Beamer got in there with the players and competed, which he loved. He loved the competitive aspect of the program, starting with the head coach. So he was very impressed with that, had really good conversations with Travian Robertson. He said he was close to making a commitment. He said they did a great, wonderful job. He was very, very close. He said the coaches are very real. He really likes Clayton White. But he is going to visit Auburn, so we'll see what happens. I mean, South Carolina's got a good shot here. They've done all they can do. Cornerback Kelvin Millington, 6'4", 185 of Bogart, Georgia. He was in for his official over the weekend. Beamer and Torian Gray, they've been hard after him since offering in mid-April. And they showed him a lot of love, he said. He loved it. His brothers loved it. And he learned a lot from visiting with Torian Gray. He said they did a film session. And they showed how he coaches his players. And they showed him some techniques. So he said not only did he have a terrific official visit, he learned some things about how to be a better cornerback. So he was happy about that. So he had a great visit. And he will continue Texas Tech this coming weekend. You always hold your breath when they go to Texas Tech because some of them come back with a satchel. You know what I mean, Bergie? Some of them just go out there. Some of them come back with a satchel.
Might be able to bet on Texas Tech while they're out there. I mean, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. And then Virginia Tech gets his last. He's got July 9th down for a commitment date, though he could push that back. Over the weekend, quarterback Luke Gaither, 6'4", 175 of Radford, Virginia, accepted a PWO offer from the Gamecocks. He had drawn some interest from Arkansas, Coastal, Appalachian, Charlotte, Liberty, UNLV, Southern Miss, and others. In his career, he's thrown for 3,900 yards and 31 touchdowns. This was a blow to South Carolina. Safety Jernard Albright of Springfield, Georgia, who committed on Christmas Day. Think of all the Christmas days, last Christmas Day, that he added to for a Gamecock standpoint. They were excited. Having to work and cover it on Christmas Day for some, that was a pain. He made an official visit to Florida State over the weekend, and he left committed to the Seminoles. His OV to South Carolina was scheduled for June 19th. He's the third commitment the Gamecocks have lost from their 27 class. That leaves them with only 8 commitments and only 1 on the defensive side. So they got some work to do. They will not be
the one
getting.
That took a pot shot at the Gamecocks on the way out the door, too, wasn't he? The one that said Florida State is 10 times ahead of USC?
10 steps.
10 steps.
10 steps.
What does that mean?
I think he's just talking about the distance in his leaning. He's committed to Florida State. And
okay,
they're like,
so not necessarily the schools.
No, that's the way I took
programs.
it. I took it as him saying they're that far ahead now of South Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And they're not going to get – this is a bit of a surprise, too, because I thought they had a good shot. But defensive end K.J. Green of Stone Mountain, Georgia, committed to LSU. He was scheduled for USC next weekend. Don't believe he's going to come in. That's a big loss. Irmo running back Ty Phillips committed to Alabama. Crestwood running back Calvin Wofford to Charlotte. One-time Clemson target, offensive lineman Reed Ramser, Orlando, committed to Auburn. Former Timberland receiver Jordan Gorham was at Alabama today. Some of the quarterbacks camping at USC last week, we mentioned Luke Gaither, also Jaden Knoll of Katy, Texas. In the 28 class, K.J. Simpson of Loganville, Georgia. Hayden Yeomans of Harlan, Georgia. A.J. Wheeler of Covington, Virginia. Jake Zanasny of Ashley Ridge. Let's make that Zamosny. 29 quarterback Elijah Williams of Spring Valley. 29 quarterback Jacob Lau of Tampa. 29 Stephen Cho of Phoenix. For Clemson, some of the quarterbacks who were in included Cho, he was in, and 28 Dominique Scambellin of Naples, Florida. 28 Bodie Spence of Dallas, Georgia. 28 Trace Hawkins of Calhoun, Georgia. 28 Trey Wright of Frisco, Texas. Also in the 28 class, Carter Zingelman of Coppell, Texas. Hudson Tomchak of Southlake, Texas. Nate Watkins of Ocoee, Florida. A.J. Wheeler of Covington, Georgia. In the 29 class, on Quizzlebash of Sebastian, Florida, Davis Taylor of River Bluff, Bear Woods of West Side, Cutter's brother, Jack Parsons of Orlando. USC camp offers last week. Defensive end Riley Noel of McDonough, Georgia, 6'3", 225, as they have to expand their board from missing on these defensive ends. In the 28 class, cornerback Justin Austin, Tyrone, Georgia. Defensive back DJ Ford of Buford, Georgia. Defensive lineman Flourish Odin of Raven Gap, Georgia. Tight end Gregory Kerwin of North Kingston, Rhode Island. Wide receiver Joseph Gibbs of Burlington, North Carolina. Wide receiver Tylen Grimes of Winston-Salem. Wide receiver Caden Whiteside of Asheville. 29 class, offensive lineman Jordan Lewis of Dorman. Clemson, 28 offers last week. Safety Giovanni Tuggle, Winder, Georgia. Linebacker Jay Shell, Raven Gap, Georgia. Defensive end Asher Giotto of Jacksonville. Defensive end Quinn Jacobs of Roswell, Georgia. Wide receiver Braylon Clark of Charlotte. Defensive end R.J. Hudson of Richmond. Defensive back Dominic Williams of Jacksonville, North Carolina. And defensive tackle Kevin Bates of Heflin, Alabama. Baseball. Former Clemson infielder Colin Priest, left-hander Tavin Bell going to UCF. Former USC outfielder Caleb Hoover going to Nebraska. Former USC infielder KJ Scobie headed to Texas Tech. Lawrence native outfielder Bennett Edwards committed to Clemson as a free agent from Georgia Southern. All Sun Belt freshman team, 287, 3 homers, 16 RBIs. Right-hander Landon White, 6'6", 200, who pitched at Bryant this season, headed to Clemson. He made 3 appearances, including a 3-inning stint at Clemson in February. He struck out 4, walked 2, and allowed 2 hits. Clemson also landed infielder Isaac Incinelli of St. John's River State College in Florida. He hit .366, 9 homers, 45 RBIs. Outfielder Landry Stamps of Tyler Junior College in Texas, decommitted from South Carolina. Coastal right-hander Luke Jones is in the free agent portal, according to Pete Nakos. And former USC pitcher Riley Goodman has visited Vanderbilt and will be visiting Georgia, according to a report by On3. There you go. There you go, with the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. Going back to that question that I could not decipher at the moment I was reading it, after discussing it with the panel here, seems like he's asking, is the coach, if Schnall isn't taking the job, is he a kind of guy that would come out publicly and say it publicly, like I'm withdrawing from consideration?
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
Answer that. I'm not sure he'd be somebody who would just automatically say, "Hey, look, I'm not being involved anymore in the job." I do think Coastal would appreciate that, though, if that's the case.
Sure.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Not cooling down much this evening. We'll have a low dropping to 73. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day long. 30% chance for afternoon and early evening showers, and the high is 87. We warm up to the low 90s on Wednesday, the mid 90s by Thursday and Friday, with that same 20 to 30% chance for rain each afternoon. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The mediator. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The embattled chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has been suspended from his duties after the court's oversight body referred Karim Khan for disciplinary proceedings. In a scandal that has dragged on for more than 2 years, Khan is facing allegations of sexual misconduct with a female aide. He has steadfastly denied any wrongdoing. Ukrainian forces have struck oil facilities in Russia and occupied Ukraine as part of their campaign to impose economic costs on Moscow. Ukrainian and Russian officials confirmed the attacks on Monday. Ukraine's President Zelensky has confirmed that Roman Abramovich has acted as a mediator between Kyiv and Moscow, delivering messages from Russian President Putin. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 80 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you tired of that dripping faucet driving you crazy? Is your drain doing more of a gurgle than a flow? Don't despair. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is here to save your day. Serving our community as locally owned plumbing experts, Franklin Plumbing tackles everything from minor leaks to major clogs. And we're talking fast, friendly, reliable service. They respect your home. They respect your wallet. Josh and his team offer upfront pricing, and that's important. This team I'm talking about, they're fully licensed. They're insured technicians. They're ready for any plumbing crisis that you might encounter, whether it's routine maintenance, a stubborn blockage, or a total plumbing overhaul. They'll get the job done right the first time. They've been out to my home, my brother's home, even his business. I'm comfortable, very comfortable, bragging on Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Stop letting plumbing problems disrupt your life. Call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning today and experience the difference that true expertise makes. Visit the website, franklinplumbing.sc.com, or give them a call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Hi y'all, this is Sal from Grow Your Garden with Sal. Let's get your garden started. Now is the time. We've got locally grown South Carolina certified plants grown organically right here in Columbia at a great price. Check out our selection of veggie plants including hard to find tomatoes, peppers, squash, zucchini, and more. We have all your seeds too, and quality soil to help you get it started. We're at 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia, and visit growyourgardenwithsal.com.
Hey, it's Jay with The Melting Pot. Are you thinking about where to take that someone special in your life to dinner? And what are you celebrating? An anniversary, birthday, or just another trip around the sun? Or maybe it's just date night. Well, we are Columbia's premier celebration destination. Enjoy more than just a meal with our artisanal cheeses, amazing entrees, and decadent chocolates. Stop by The Melting Pot. We're still at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in Columbia.
Hey everybody, I'm David Jolly with South Carolina Insurance Brokers. I'm from Lexington. I live here, work here, play here. Ever feel like just a policy number with those big national insurance companies? It's time for a change. As your independent agent, I don't work for one big insurer. I work for you. I shop top carriers to find you the better coverage at a better price. Don't wait for a claim to see if your agent cares. Call me, David Jolly, at 803-380-8877 or visit scinsbrokers.com. When you think of insurance, I ask that you think of me, David Jolly.
What is so hard? It might be the hardest thing in sports. What is so hard about getting the 27th out? Let's find out from somebody who knows how hard it is. We welcome in Coach Chad Holbrook from the College of Charleston. Right now he puts on his Sports Talk college baseball analyst cap. Welcome in. What is so hard about getting the 27th out in those situations?
Well, I can tell you, it's the beauty of baseball's a beautiful game, and it's just I can't use the right word because we're on the radio, so I don't want to get myself in trouble. But folks get tight, and pitchers get tight, coaches get tight, anxiety gets at a high level. And when the crowd gets loud, and the umpires, it seems like the strike zone might shrink a little bit. It's a bunch of things. It's the beauty of the game, and that's why you have to have pitchers on the mound with, a low heart rate and incredible competitive spirit, and wants the ball with the game on the line. They want the ball in their hands with the game on the line, and I know a lot of people listening to your show remember Matt Price. He was the best at it, but it's awfully tough. That 27th out is one of the hardest things to get in sports.
Yeah, I mean, you have such a wide-ranging career, so I'll ask you a question. It might be tough for you to pin it down, and you might have just touched on it, but I mean, in your career, what's been the best 27th out you've been a part of?
No doubt. I mean, the fly ball to center field that Jackie caught to win national championship #2. That was certainly a great out. And I believe Jackie actually caught the 27th out in the Super Regional at Coastal Carolina in 2010 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know he caught. No. Bobby Haney made that play. So Bobby Haney made the 27th out on a ground ball. So those two outs kind of, to me, stand out. But there's been some, and there's been heartaches. There's been those 27th out that's evaded us as well. And so that's baseball can be exhilarating and it can be awfully cruel. I've been on both sides. I feel for Southern Cal. That's just heartbreaking. And but it's baseball too, and there's euphoria on one side and just agony of defeat on the other. And when your season's on the line and, there's no tomorrow, that's when anxiety and nerves get at an all-time high. And, 27th out in the regular season is there's some nerves, but it's nowhere near where if you can't get that 27th out, your season's over and everything is on the line. And it tends to be, in college baseball, the highest anxiety is no doubt Super Regional. And you get in Omaha, it's almost like it's a celebration to it. You're playing on, and you've made it, and now let's try to make the best of it. But the pressure gets so high. And I've had basketball coaches say the same thing about the Elite Eight. Those last 2 or 3 minutes in basketball trying to get to the Final Four, and those last 2 or 3 outs trying to get to Omaha. That's when the nerves and the anxiety is at its highest, and we certainly witnessed that in that game, Southern Cal and North Carolina.
But the difference is between the basketball tournament and the baseball tournament is, like, if you're the visiting team or the home team, whatever the case may be, you're playing on a home field for somebody. So you either have the pressure of the fans on your back or the fans in your face. In the basketball tournament, you're playing in a 20,000-seat arena until you get to the final, and maybe a third of the arena is made up of your fans, and so you don't really have that noise and that you do have the intensity, but you don't have that noise in your face.
Right, and that's our baseball is we don't play on neutral sites either, and that amplifies it. You're right, and while playing in Chapel Hill, and it makes it very, very, very difficult, on a visiting team, especially in the ninth inning when again, trying to get that 27th out is so hard. But I can try to think. I don't. Every trip that I made, that I was lucky to make to Omaha, and that was 3 with North Carolina and 3 with South Carolina. So 6 times. 5 of those were as the home team. The only Super Regional that we advanced to that I've been a part of that advanced to the College World Series was in Conway at Coastal Carolina, and that was at the Pro Park. That wasn't at their home field.
Yeah.
So that makes it awfully tough. But I will say this about that game in Conway. It was why it was a neutral site or at Conway or we were the visiting team. The Gamecock fans were loud.
Yeah.
They were on our. It might not have been a home stadium game, but it was a home feeling because our fans were so loud. So, baseball's so beautiful. I mean, it is so beautiful and exhilarating, and you get to see it at this level at this time of year, because so much is on the line on Super Regional weekend.
I love it. I love the format. I hope baseball never touches it. They probably can't resist themselves, but the setup right now is just so perfect. It's so great, the tension, and I was so glued in over the weekend. I want to talk real quick before we go to the overall CWS. I want to talk about Southern Cal and North Carolina and that decisive ninth inning. What did you see defensively? First of all, with Southern Cal, I saw a pitcher totally losing his his focus, his concentration, his form. He lost everything.
I mean, he just got tight. I mean, you could just see it. You could see it. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's no different than a golfer trying to make a 4-foot putt to win the Masters. I mean, he just got tight, and nerves, and it lost his release point because his head and his heartbeat was probably his heart was about to bounce out of his chest, and I mean, the poor kid was a mess.
Yeah.
But the defense didn't help Southern Cal, and it's very much like maybe one of the most heartbreaking plays that I remember in the College World Series is when the Arkansas second baseman couldn't catch the ball against Oregon State for the last out of the game.
Oh,
they would down the foul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like when that ball dropped foul, you almost like, here Oregon State's getting ready to win this. You almost felt it. You know, you just felt something bad. And when that kid couldn't make that play in foul territory, I was like, North Carolina's getting ready to win this one. You know, they had their chance to get out of it. But then that being said, the center fielder, I hate to be critical toward an amateur.
Yeah.
I hate to, because you got amateurs playing. Well, hell, you can say they're not amateurs anymore with what they're getting paid. However, you would have liked to have seen him run through that wall for that play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The game's on the line.
Do you know anybody who would have done that?
Oh, shoot. Evan Marzilli, Jackie, Christian Walker, Scott Wingo, they would have ran through that wall. There would have been no slide to try to make a catch. It was just too much was on the line, and I would have. And that being said, now it's easy to watch that from the couch, and he's in a neutral park. It's that warning track at North Carolina is a fake warning track. It's not a real warning track. He might not have felt it under his feet.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things that went into that. However, there's no shine away from a wall right then. That wall's padded. You run right through that sucker. And I remember a couple years ago when Tennessee won the national championship, and that center fielder literally ran through, and they clocked him at like 18 miles an hour hitting the wall. I mean, just literally ran through it. But that's what you have to have from a selfless guts, aggressiveness. That's what you have to win a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee had it that year. And I'm not saying that play cost Southern Cal, but boy, did it rear its head at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I hate it for the kid. No one feels worse about it. It's just a tough thing. And that's the beauty of sports.
Mm-hmm.
College of Charleston head coach Chad Holbrook, also our baseball analyst, with us here tonight on Sports Talk. All right, Coach, let's look at the College World Series. And Phil and I were debating about regional, the game being a regional game, expanding to a national game. Which of these stats surprises you the most? This is the first time since 1976 that the College World Series has not had a team from the state of California or the state of Florida, or the fact that 23 different teams have advanced to the College World Series in the past 3 years, and North Carolina is the only one to repeat when they went back in 2024. Does that speak to the growth of the sport from a national scape?
Well, what you're getting, I think so. I mean, a lot of the good players, there's a lot of great players, let's just say some reserves at some of the big schools that, are hitting the portal and wanting to play every day somewhere. So they might go down. Go down a level is not the right word, but there is some great players at the mid-major level. And, there are some great players. So everybody thought that the money in the NIL budgets would separate the Power Four from the mid-major. I don't know if that's totally rang true yet. I think over time it will. I have no doubt about that. Over time, the elite of the elite will be, running toward the money for sure, and the big boys will continue to be dominant. However, those big boys have to have backups too, and sometimes those backups are pretty dang good. And after a year sitting on the bench, that backup wants to play. So, so you're seeing some dang good players at the mid-major level, and I think. So there's some parity there. Troy, like I was outspoken. Troy is played and gotten hot at the right time, I don't think they deserve to be in the tournament. Mercer had a better resume. I still say that. I still say it. Mercer beat Troy head to head, so in a series, not just one game. So and their RPI was higher, and they had more wins. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But that being said, credit Troy for making the best of their opportunity and saying, cashing in on it and saying, hey, people don't think we deserve to be in. Let's show them. And it's almost like us against the world mentality, and they've really played well. You got to give them credit. But there's some great players. There's some great players, even one that's from South Carolina on West Virginia's team. There's some big boys that can easily play in the SEC on Troy's team. And Oklahoma, and there's obviously going to have a huge SEC flair out in Omaha this year. I hate 3 of the 4 I guess are on one side of the bracket, but and that's that's another thing we can talk about is reseeding. At what point do we look at that? Would that make it better? Even reseeding after the regional round or reseeding once they get to Omaha? That's something that's a good conversation to have, but. The big boys are out there. You got North Carolina out there who's had an incredible regular season. You got Texas out there who I think is extremely difficult. And one of my former players is playing well for them, Darian Pendergrass, the South Carolina boy. So I got some interest in that. And and Ole Miss North Carolina opening game in the College World Series is intriguing to me. But those stats are unbelievable to me about California and Florida. That's really unbelievable.
It is.
when you consider the strength of those 2 states from a baseball, Florida State, Miami, and then California. Holy moly! I mean, it's that's a crazy stat. I'm glad you shared that with me. That's I hadn't looked at it that way, but I think there is some parity, and I do think college baseball is in a really cool place.
All right, let's talk about one of those teams you referenced, one of the 5 SEC teams, and that being Georgia, regular season and tournament champion. Coach, the way they play baseball, lead the country in home runs. They've hit 170. I think they hit them all in the Super Regional against Mississippi State over the weekend. But you've been in the new ballpark at Omaha. How will their style of play, do you think, translate out on that field?
Well, they're big and strong enough to hit them out of any park. That being said, they might not get all. Some of those cheap ones. I'm not saying they hit many cheap ones. They got some big boys. They're a grown man team. I mean, that's a team full of grown men, boy. I mean, it's impressive. Both on the mound as well, even though their pitchers did give up some runs. But I can tell you this: Omaha plays much different than Foley Field. It's much different. It's not a launching pad by any stretch. What they're used to. But I've always said that the ballpark in Omaha is a great equalizer. It changes, and North Carolina plays in a homer-friendly park, and there's a lot of college. Tennessee plays in a homer. I mean, all kind of SEC schools playing, and I know Tennessee's not in the College World Series this year, obviously, but there's a lot of these teams and these programs that play in homer-friendly parks throughout the course of the regular season, and now all of a sudden they go into a big park. So how do the coaches change their strategy? Do you see the bunt more? Which puts players in tough positions, because how do you ask a player in a national championship game to get a bunt down when you haven't asked him to do it all season long? Does that play a part in it? And that's the fun part of watching this, and it's a big park, and there's no cheap homers, and you got to crush them. Georgia, though, I'll say this about Georgia: they got a nit factor, a swagger factor. That most of those teams don't have out there. They got the swagger's off the chart. I mean, to run through the gauntlet of the SEC regular season and tournament and really not, kind of do it. I hate to say it was easy, but you know what? They didn't break stride too many times. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of resistance there. They beat everybody's tail. So I give them to be the favorite just based on their regular season, but Texas and North Carolina, they can win that sucker too. And I give you a great anecdote. All right, I learned this from Coach Tanner, and this is so true. And I'll never forget what Coach Tanner said after in 2010 we won at Coastal Carolina. He said, "Hey, there's 8 teams going to Omaha. 4 teams, I don't know which 4 teams are happy to be there, and 4 teams are going to win it." And I can't tell you which 4 are happy to be there and just going for the sights and sounds and the tours and the bars and the casinos and the drover and all that. But 4 teams are going on business and trying to win it. Let's just make sure we're one of the 4. And you know what? When you get out there, you actually feel that. You actually see it. You know, they'll when we were out there at South Carolina, we those teams that were out there that were videoing everything and like, always like trying to create a documentary. I was like, we're going to be all right against those guys, because it was business as usual for us. It's like, let's play, let's keep winning. It's about winning. It's about winning. We just had a special group, but you watch it. There's 4 teams that are happy to be there. Which 4? I don't know. And there's 4 teams that are going to try to strap it on and win that sucker. I have a feeling Georgia is one of those 4 teams based on their swagger factor that's going to try to win it.
Does North Carolina have the best pitching in the CWS?
Well, their first 2 starters are first, second round. I mean, they're bona fide superstars, and there's no doubt about it. And the freshman reliever, the 2 relievers who showed some vulnerability this weekend against Southern Cal, but they've had incredible years. So there's 4 kids there that are elite. Their Friday starter, DeCaro and Lynch, I believe, and then McDuffie and Glauber. Those 4 are as good as anybody. They can beat anybody. But at some point out there, somebody else is going to have to get some big outs, and so that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But yeah, they look awfully good. That being said, it's playing in that park is a little bit of an equalizer, and they're going to have to match. I hate to use this word swagger. They're going to have to match the swagger factor of Texas or Georgia. And I'm not saying Texas or Georgia are going to advance out of that bracket, but holy moly, what an opening round game that'll be. Oh. And I'll tell you this, Ole Miss and North Carolina, don't count out Ole Miss now. Yeah. They're tough. You go into Auburn and win, and I thought Auburn would come out of that. They didn't. And I underestimated the toughness of Ole Miss. And Mike Bianco's a Hall of Famer, been there a long time. And they have a pitcher that can match up with North Carolina now. They have a pitcher that their ace can stuff anyone. So it's not going to be easy. That first round game against Ole Miss is not going to be easy for North Carolina. But that first round game on the other side of the bracket with Texas and Georgia, holy moly! And I'm right? I'm sitting there looking at they're matched up. Is that correct? Yeah. That's a what a game that's going to shape up to be.
All right, time for the uncomfortable, unfair portion of the segment. You can blame North Carolina for putting this portion of the segment into the segment. Scott Forbes. Scott Forbes. What do you think?
Well, a great coach. He would be a great person to hire for South Carolina. He would be great. He was in my wedding, so we're tight. We are tight. I'm proud of him. He's done great. He's put himself in elite territory with what he's done at North Carolina. I cannot see him leaving there. I'm not speaking for him. I've been wrong many a time, but he's got a great situation there, and he's obviously showing that he can get to Omaha consistently there. He attracts some of the best players in the country there, and they're starting to step up from an NIL standpoint. And he can navigate, I don't mean this critically toward the ACC, but he can navigate the schedule a little bit better than navigating the SEC. The water's going to get rough no matter where you're at. It's just a gauntlet. It's just a bloodbath from weekend to weekend. So I think Scott Forbes stays where he's at. I have no inside info. I applaud South Carolina for going after him. If all the reports we read are true, I think he's one of the best for sure. And who knows? Sometimes money talks. And maybe it will, but I just think he's a family man. He's entrenched there. It's going to be an awfully hard sell to get him to leave Chapel Hill.
Of course, Berge would counter with?
Let's talk both sides, Bergie. Let's talk. Bergie. Let's go.
Coach, you probably know Brian O'Connor as well, and I would imagine Virginia fans 2 years ago would have said the exact same thing. He's won a national championship here. He's been to the College World Series multiple times. There's no reason he should leave. He's got it a lot easier in the ACC than he would have in the SEC, and now he's coaching Mississippi State.
It's a fair point. And I've actually thought about that, but there is a little difference, and the difference is there was some personality issue differences between Brian O'Connor and his AD. So there was I don't know if the working relationship was a good one. So and I don't think that's the case at North Carolina. So there's a little bit of a different relationship between them. Now, I'll say this. The leadership is new at North Carolina with Bubba Cunningham stepping down. So is there friction there that I haven't learned about from Scott? Maybe. Has it been loud enough for him to bring it up to me in any conversations? No, it hasn't. So I think there's a little bit of difference there. I'll also say this about the difference. North Carolina was Scott Forbes' first opportunity to coach college baseball. Brian O'Connor had been at Notre Dame. He had been at some other places. Virginia was a it wasn't necessarily his school. And I know Scott didn't graduate from North Carolina, but I was on the staff that actually brought Scott Forbes in to be the volunteer coach at that time. So Chapel Hill gave him a start. His family, his parents. He's got a dad. His dad is extremely sick. He's having some health issues. They live 25 minutes from Chapel Hill's campus. I just, he went to high school 30 minutes down the road from Chapel Hill. I just don't see it now, unless there's something behind the scenes that I'm not aware of. But I applaud North Carolina. And one thing though I will say, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this.
No, go ahead.
Probably. Me getting, but I'll say this about the situation. If what we if what we read is true, and I don't know that it is or isn't. If what we read is true, that he's South Carolina's number one choice, I do find it interesting that they are waiting on him, because surely someone wouldn't wait this long unless they feel great about the chances. So that's one way to look at it as well. Surely you wouldn't wait this long and get left at the altar empty-handed, especially in the time. You know what I mean? So, they got to feel good about it, or they wouldn't wait. If what we read is true.
Yeah.
If what we read, and that's a big if.
Fantastic stuff, Coach. We'll get back with you
Coach.
Friday. The series will be underway. We'll see what's going on, and we'll holler back at you then. But thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I love talking ball with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, I think we can wrap it up with that, Bergie.
Yes, and we're getting into Brendan Sorsby tomorrow. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's true. See you tomorrow.